take our breaths away with its glow.
Whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. I'm Maria Thompson Corley. If that quote from Philippians resonated with you, stay tuned. I'd love to introduce you to intriguing, creative people whose light is making our world a lovelier place. Welcome to Finding Beauty.
Ruby Taylor is a social worker who received her undergraduate education at Virginia Union and her master's from Howard. Her work in schools and her interaction with her nieces, nephews, and godchildren inspired her to become a writer and filmmaker. She's also an avid collector of art by African American artists. And so my first question to you is, when did you start seeing black as beautiful, or did you always feel that way?
Well, I always felt that black was beautiful, but eventually the message began to get unclear. Right? Because of the media and because of life. So when I was younger, I always felt beautiful. There was never a time that I did not. But I did begin to question my full lips, which was like often picked on when I was in school. And my flat nose. So then it made me question if that was beautiful, even though I already knew it was, but it did give me a pause about my own beauty growing up in the Bronx.
Okay. So your parents had already instilled in you that you were beautiful? Because I know that going back generations, I mean, the prevailing, for you to be so sure that you were beautiful despite having traditionally black features of the broad nose and full lips. Was that something that came from your parents or just from the people who were all around you or just from you? You just were always sure?
I think it was a combination. I think it was a God thing, right?
Okay.
I always had a spiritual connection when I was young, always. And because of that, I knew right away that I was not only special, but I was also beautiful. And my parents just reinforced that.
Sounds wonderful. But obviously your childhood wasn't completely idyllic because I know you lost your brother tragically when you were a teenager. And can you talk about how that impacted your life?
Oh, my God. Yes. And the older that I get, the more that I understand that entire impact. So my brother was 16. I just turned 14 a week after he died. A week before he died, I turned 14. He was 16, I was 14. And it blew my mind because he was my closest sibling in age and then relationship. So I no longer had him there. He was like my protector, and my protector was gone. And it had an impact on every single intimate relationship that I ever had, because I did not want to get close, and I always assumed that it was because of my sexual abuse, but it was really because I didn't want to feel that loss again. And I just discovered that when I turned 40.
Wow.
And the reason why I really became aware, because I'm dating and I'm in a relationship, and so I'm not dating. I am in a relationship, and I can always leave, but I don't want the person to leave, right? And it was brought up to me, and I had a breakthrough, and I figured out why. It's because when he was murdered, he left me. He walked away, and I could still visualize that and never came back. So that has left an impact on my life.
Well, I guess, some people never get to the point of quite knowing why they do what they do. So It took a while, obviously, but I'm glad that you were able to see that. But in the midst of that feeling of not wanting to get close, you still obviously wanted to help people around you. Like, you didn't draw into yourself completely. And one of the things that you did, and this is kind of the reason that I originally became aware of you, was that you made a documentary. Can you talk about your documentary?
Yes, called Beautiful Me, which is about helping Black girls and Black women embrace their beauty through visual art. So I hired an artist by the name of Shaniqua Gay. She lives in Atlanta to do a portrait of my niece, and my niece loved it so much that I wanted to give it to more young Black girls. So that's what I did, and I made a documentary about it because I cannot afford to give every Black girl a portrait. So they can see the documentary and they can see themselves within those various images.
Mm-hmm. Now, and
so that's why I did the documentary.
And I wanted to, I'm not sure, I didn't write this as a question, so if you want me to take this out, I will. I really appreciate all the things that you're doing because I know you have a brain injury, which can sometimes make pushing yourself difficult. So I'm hoping that if I'm asking too many questions, tell me if I'm asking too many questions. Yeah, okay. Is that okay to mention? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. In 2012, I had a car accident which just altered my life. It gave me a traumatic brain injury, which like took me out of working because it wipes me out, and a whole lot of other stuff that I won't get into. But that's one of the major things. It really makes me extra tired.
Yeah.
Throughout the day, so I need a lot of naps to just basically function.
But you also, and you had this brain injury, the documentary came after that. Is that right? Is that when you started making it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
and then
after 2014.
And then you also organized a Beautiful Me Day, which was, you called it the Augusta Savage Day of Black Girl Beauty. Can you talk about that and tell us about Augusta Savage for those who don't know her story?
Okay. I organized a local event here so that people locally would be able to come together, watch the documentary, and celebrate Black girls' beauty, which is what we did. It was a wonderful event. And Augusta Savage is like one of my favorite artists ever. Not just because of her talent, but also because of her sacrifices. Mm-hmm. This woman was beaten several times to basically stop making art. Mm-hmm. She would take red clay, dirt, and make like toys out of it. And her family felt that she was making grave images, which they thought that it was an abomination towards God. Mm-hmm. Her father was a pastor, and he would like beat her every single time she made a toy. She made a sculpture. Yeah. And one day she went to a private, I want to say Catholic school, but I'm not sure if it was a Catholic or like some form of other religious school. And she did Mary and baby Jesus. And the school went like wild. And that's when her father finally accepted it was a gift from God. I love the story because like sometimes life will like beat stuff out of us, and if we basically allow it, we will be going away from God's purpose for our lives. So like she did not do that. And then she went on to use the media to bring, attention to racism within the art world. And then she went to Harlem and was one of the few women who was part of the Harlem Renaissance. And if it was not for her life, Jacob Lawrence would have not have reached his art purpose.
Mm-hmm.
She got the government to give money towards black, artists. She worked hard at it. And she had her own center to help all of the youth in Harlem. She has just an amazing life and put her art on the side to basically uplift black people. For that, she has an extraordinary life that has not been talked about enough. So that's why I love her.
So that's one for Ava DuVernay, I think. She deserves a movie, I think.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, because it's such a tragic story because in the end she died penniless. Having given so much for so many people, but what a legacy she left. Okay, so
that's a great story.
Yeah,
money does not make you rich.
No,
there's a lot of rich people who are just miserable. She lived a purpose-driven life that was full of wealth on so many different levels. Much, much bigger than currency. That's pure dopeness to me.
That's well worth mentioning. So thank you for that. You had an Instagram page which was always referencing not only external beauty, but inner beauty as well. And as you know, as we all know, external beauty is something that won't last, and inner beauty can shine through forever, regardless of your age. But do you feel like with Lupita Nyong'o and her embrace, do you feel like some of the mainstream ideas of beauty have turned a corner, or do you think that was sort of like saying when Barack Obama was elected that racism had ended?
It has not turned. It has not turned. It's the same because it's still embedded in racism and oppression. So misogyny, right? So it has not turned. It's the same. They add a little diversity. So now it's supposed to be a little bit better. But even those images are really limited and few and far between, because diversity just is not about a couple of beautiful, amazing African women from the various diaspora, right? But it's also about natives, right? It's also about Hispanics. It's also about Asians. It's also about so many more that now it's a black and white thing, which is such an issue for me. So to say whether or not we are looking at a beauty as deeper, no, we're not. And because it is still limited, that's one. And number two, the black body continuously criminalized. So, no, we're not looking at it deeper. We are still looking at it on the surface.
And with a couple of exceptions. In other words, that was my I was thinking of, Obama when everybody said, oh, everything's changed because he was the president, but there was still a lot that needed to be done, as we are discovering. Okay. So your Instagram page, which was called, it was called For Black Girls?
For Black Girls.
For Black
Black Girls.
And that's on hiatus for the moment. Did you need a break, or are you working on something else?
It's a combination of who I am, right?
Okay.
I am a seed planter. So God will give me a vision. He'll give me the motivation. He'll give me the power to basically complete it. And for the seeds to be planted and for, others to basically eat from it and also, nurture it.
Okay.
That's not my job.
Yeah.
And so, I feel that I have planted the seeds, and God has put another project inside my heart, and that's what I'm focusing in on. But I will still do speeches. I will still do films, screenings is the word that I'm looking for the movie.
Okay.
That's not going to stop.
Yeah.
But as like the social media piece, that's going to be on hold.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's a lot on that page, so, anybody who visits the For Black Girls Instagram page will find ample stuff to look at, even if you're not adding anything new. Definitely.
For Black Girls, add the number 1 after.
I knew I was missing something for Black Girls 1. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So, I know, having been to your house, which is like an art gallery, with beautiful dark red walls and elegant furniture, I wondered, is that something that you grew up with? Were you in a family that really prized things that were lovely and had art on their walls?
No. We had 1 or 2 pieces, but it was not, no. The answer is no. I come from a Southern family who works extremely hard to basically make it. And my mother, she was a nurse's aide, so she worked for a lot of people who had extra means. And I used to love their condos. They all lived in condos. And I loved it. I loved the whole ambiance of them. And I was always like, when I get older, I'm going to get me a condo.
You did. You did.
Right? And I'm going to have it look a certain way because I always wanted that.
Yeah.
And God allowed it to be.
And I mentioned your paintings, and I guess they're not about loveliness so much as telling stories, a lot of them. When did you buy your first painting?
My first painting that I ever brought would have been in 2000 and either 2007 or 2009. It was at the United Social Forum, which was in Detroit. And it was from a team who did Cole's education activism against it. And that was the first piece that I brought. I brought 2 pieces there, and from another activist artist. But my first African American art was purchased in 2014.
So that whole collection then has been collected in really a short space of time.
Yes, isn't that amazing?
It is. So, and since your accident too, you just kind of went on an art spending spree. Or wow, that's amazing. So, and some of those people are not as well known. Can you mention some other names? You mentioned Shaniqua Gay, and her work is amazing and outstanding.
Yes.
But can you mention some of the other people whose work you've been collecting?
We have a local star right here among us. His name is Bill Hudson. He was a professor. Yes, he's a wonderful abstract artist. And he has such a wonderful story. Oh, my God. The story is simply amazing. And he does abstract art and amazing pieces. So I love Bill Hudson. I love Sababi. I love Najee Dorsey, who is the founder of Black Art in America. And I love Cynthia St. James. She has a unique look. Once you basically see it, you automatically know it is hers.
Yeah. Can we mention that did she have a painting that was featured on, can we say, The Cosby Show?
Yes.
I think, and also the cover of Waiting to Exhale, was that her? Am I correct?
No.
Or one of Terry McMillan's books, was there something by her?
She could have done one of Terry McMillan's books. She uses a lot of bold images.
Yeah.
And she did the Kwanzaa stamp.
Oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, she's certainly powerhouse artist.
Yes.
So so aside from collecting art, you've also written a couple of books. Can you talk about them?
Yes, I wrote a book. My first book that I ever wrote was called Aunt Ruby, Do I Look Like God? And it was about a book to help my, at that time, 3-year-old niece understand that God made her in God's image. And because she kept on asking, do I look like God? And I would make up stuff. and it was not satisfying her. Making up all of the stuff, and it just wouldn't stop until I finally got the right answer. So then I wrote a children's book about it.
Wow.
Yep. And then my next. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just saying. It's just kind of sad that, you have kids that have that thought, that persistent thought, I mean, you're told you're made in God's image, but you can see kind of why she might not believe it, just given what you see around you, especially if you look at a lot of the well-known Christian art or the stuff that the general view of Jesus is supposed to look like and those sorts of things. So, wow, that's powerful. Yeah, and you wrote another children's book as well?
It was called Good Grief Bear, and it was to help children understand loss and to help them understand death on their level.
And that, I'm sure all those things grew out of, I guess, even if you can't work as a social worker, you're finding ways to do it on a larger scale. And so I think that's really cool. I never want to assume I know the answer to a question, so I'm going to ask, how do you stay inspired?
I never allow outside views to push me. So I always go with where I feel God is directing me. And sometimes I don't feel inspired.
Oh.
and I basically allow that to be.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by outside influences to make you feel like you always have to be inspired. No, you don't. There are moments where you are not, and it's okay. Yeah. And I just sit down and I just wait for that moment of inspiration. I don't force it.
That makes sense. Everybody needs to rest and recover, and I guess you can't really listen for that voice to tell you what to do next if you're constantly in motion. I mean, that's perfect. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about the word beauty?
God.
Okay. Well, that sums it up beautifully. And, okay, and my other question that I've been asking everybody is, can art change the world?
Yes, because it has, and it will continuously change our world for the better. Whenever there's a war, the first thing that they want to take over is, guess what? The art.
Yeah.
They either want to steal it or they will destroy it. Why? Because art is a gift from God, and that's how God is all about creation, right? So the first thing people want to control is creation. And what is it? Art is a reflection of that. So that's the reason why it is such a healer, because it is so God-centered.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my last question for you is,
and wait, one more thing.
Oh, go for it, please continue.
So, right, I believe you don't have to. I do not push God. I do not push Jesus Christ. I am a believer. I do not require anybody else to. That's not my job. It's to love. But I don't have to minimize my belief to empower others. So I love to believe in the love God has given to me, which is to accept all, believers and non-believers, whatever people believe.
Okay. Well, I'm really glad that you agreed to talk to me today, and I am going to ask you the one really simple question, which is, if people hear this and are interested in finding out more about what you've done and maybe reaching you to find out more about your documentary or Beautiful Me Day, maybe they want to take some of those seeds that you've planted and learn from you about how to help them to grow or plant their own seeds. Is there a good way to reach you online, or what's the best way to reach out to you?
The best way is forblackgirls.org. It's FORBLACKGIRLS.org. Forblackgirls.org.
Okay.
That's the best way.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, Ruby. And I'm Maria Thompson Corley, and this has been Finding Beauty.
The theme music for Finding Beauty is Symphony of Light, written and performed by Kiana Corley, with assistance on the cello from Allegra Banks. Rusty Banks was the producer. Right now, you're listening to Liszt's Petrarch Sonnet No. 104, performed by yours truly. You can hear the rest of it on my CD, Music from the Novel Letting Go, available on CreateSpace and Amazon. If you're interested, you can check me out at mariacorley.com or mariasworld.us. You can also find me on Twitter, at Maria Corley, or YouTube. My recordings are available through Albany or Amazon. My novel, Letting Go, is available on Smashwords, CreateSpace, Barnes & Noble, and Amazon. Or drop me a line on my site, and I'll send you a signed copy. I want to leave you with one more quote. Do your little bit of good where you are. It's the little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. Desmond Tutu. Have a beautiful day.